Welcome.
Please welcome.
The Outdoor Project Podcast. Hear real conversations from industry leaders on the latest in the hardscape and landscape industry. Brought to you by Cincinnati's Landscape Supply. You're now streaming the Outdoor Project Podcast.
Welcome to another episode of the Outdoor Project Podcast. Today we are sitting down with Leo LaCroix, our upstate New York Belgard rep, and Jim Elger, our Techniseal Polysand rep. What's up, guys?
How are you today?
Hey, Chris.
So I appreciate you guys coming to sit down with us today. I just want to know, what is your relationship, Belgard and Techniseal? You guys are kind of working hand in hand.
Well, actually, at Techniseal, we're celebrating 35 years in business this year. And as of May of 2016, we're purchased by Belgard. So going back, I think Belgard over the years, we always had a relationship with them where they were distributing our products among other manufacturers. But we're introducing a couple new products. There was the Next Gel at that time that was a big innovation in the jointing sand products. I think they had a lot of interest in that, and then they came to see our factory a couple times. We have a factory in Montreal that employs up to 125, 150 employees. We manufacture all of our products, most of our products. We have a lab, research and development, so I guess they saw us as a pretty serious player in the cleaners, sealers, adhesives, and sand manufacturers. So eventually they purchased our company, and we've had an excellent relationship prior to that, and of course going forward since they purchased us. We work hand in hand with Belgard. I mean, Belgard's professional, well seen in the industry, so they help us introduce us to the dealers such as yourself, and also the contractors. So we work well together.
That facility out in Montreal, right?
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Leo took me down there, or up there. Actually, it was cold. It was really cold.
Yeah, if you can.
But man, you can eat a
sandwich. Come in the summertime.
you could eat a sandwich off the floor in that facility. It was amazing.
Yeah,
You wouldn't imagine that.
Dude,
You're
is
manufacturing
amazing.
a dusty product.
Yeah, I mean, there's certain areas of the plant, that are it's a state of the art plant. I mean, it was built 8 years ago, I think. So it's approximately 100,000 square feet. But yes, it is. Everything was made really. We didn't take it over another plant. This plant was built to our specs. So there's an area where they can contain the chemicals and all that. If ever there was a fire or something like that, everything shuts down, doors close, and it's contained in that area. The area where they're making the additives, of course, that is a little bit dustier, but that's kind of screened off. I mean, you go into that department itself, and then the rest of it, the warehousing and all of that stuff. Yeah, it is. We're pretty proud of our factory.
There's a science to it all.
Absolutely.
And Leo, who's Belgard not buying out? You guys are growing and growing and growing. Oldcastle, right?
I think the vision is to be hardscaping's grown so much in the last 10 years. From when we got into the business when we were young guys, we were happy to make a circle kit without making cuts, right?
Yeah.
Now between all the different add-on products, right? So you go from fire pits to pergolas to just the things, and I look at the polymeric sands as they're becoming easier to work with. However, they kind of saved our industry as paving stones, because a lot of times people didn't want to put in the paving stones. They were going more towards stamped concrete because of the weeds and all that. So now we've come up with a system where we can secure those joints, cut down on the weeds, the insects, things like that provide a better long-lasting patio, and to add the cleaners and sealers for the maintenance end of the program. It really helps bring the paving stone and what we do every day as an industry, all together. So Belgard looks at companies like Techniseal as more partners, and to bring that whole system and that experience and knowledge that we have out there with them.
Yeah.
I don't want to sugarcoat it, because that is the polymeric sand aspect of the whole project is always a concern because you have competitors out there, they're poly sand. Everyone has their own opinion. What do you think separates Techniseal from your competitors?
Well, I would say probably from the outset we manufacture, we get our raw materials from DuPont and some of the big chemical companies, but from there we take that and manufacture our additives ourselves. A lot of our competitors are going to generic companies and saying, hey, this is the formula we want it within such and such a price range, and then they send it to a bagging plant. It's well mixed into that, bag of sand and all that. When we came out with Next Gel, I think, which was one of the reasons that Belgard got really interested in us, it's kind of a new technology. By the way, Techniseal invented polymeric sand in 1999. So
What year was that?
1999.
Wow.
So, some people may dispute that, but I think it's well documented. I think if you Google, who was the inventor of polymeric sand, it was us. So we go back, we have a lot of experience. I mean, we've been, in that industry for a long time. What happened with Next Gel is that the additives in regular polymeric sands are powders, they're fines. So there's usually 6 to 7 additives that are in the sand, and they're well mixed into the sand, but they remain fines all the same. So when you sweep that across a paver surface, there's separation from the sand and the finer additives that are in there. With Next Gel, what we did is we kind of made a granule out of the additives. So it's a little bit like the fertilizer pellet technology or something like that. So it's a little bit of a bigger particle size, and everything is in there. So those 6, 7 additives, the polymer, the Portland, and whatever else is in there, is in a larger granule. So that mixed in with the sand looks like a regular bag of sand, but as you sweep that across the surface, it's a much cleaner sweep across that surface. You're not spending as much time trying to get that stuff off the surface before you wet it and to activate it. So that's that's probably set us apart from a lot of the other companies, because today, not just in North America but around the world, I mean, Techniseal sold in all across, in North America, Canada, U.S., Mexico, but also in Europe, Australia, New Zealand. So we're in a lot of different areas, different climates and stuff like that, and we're moving ahead with that product. So that, I think that sets us apart.
I think the biggest misunderstanding is the watering process, because there is, like I said, you got your competitors, and every poly sand has a different process of watering in that sand. Yep. What's your process, and what do you think is the right process?
I think the most important thing to mention when you're activating sand, it's activated by moisture. So the most important thing is testing, because no joint is the same. I mean, if you have cobble on the edge, on the border, and it's a 1/2 inch or 3/4 of an inch, but you got a tight joint in the middle, it's different. There's more volume on the edge. It's totally different. So you got to activate everything, and in smaller areas. So testing is what I say is the most important thing. You really got to make sure there's enough moisture, because if you got 2 and 3 inches depth on a paver, you don't want to just get the top 1/4 inch or 1/2 inch. You need to get the complete depth of that sand, our sand or anybody else's sand. It doesn't matter which product.
And compaction, I want to definitely.
Compaction is
key.
Is key. So So compaction is most important, although we are introducing a product this year called NOCO, which is no compaction. But anyway, we can get into that afterwards. But yes, compaction tightens it up. Compaction under testing has been proven to increase the strength by 20%, 22%.
Just really interlocks everything.
It tightens that joint up. I mean, as you sweep it into that surface, it falls down into that cavity, excuse me, but compaction really tightens it up. And often you'll see that after compaction, you need to add more sand because there's a void on the top.
You're taking all those air pockets out, right, Jim?
Absolutely.
So it's almost like consolidating concrete, where you want more mass of material and less air, because with those air, you'll get movement, you'll get settlement, you'll get popping of the joints, those type of things. So, I mean...
That's where weeds can... start to grow in areas like that. So yeah, definitely important. But in the activation process, when you're wetting it, definitely test it. Take a knife, screwdriver, or whatever.
Make
dig
sure
down.
you've gone all the way through that
Yeah,
sand.
just go through your surface, every 4 or 5 feet or something like that. Dig down, make sure that your moisture is all the way down to the bottom.
Yeah. Another thing, a lot of these guys, I want you to explain like the cleaning process with pavers, because a lot of guys, it's kind of a question mark. What should these guys be using to clean pavers? Should they be sealing these pavers? Because
And for me, the question is, when can they clean and seal after they sanded the patio?
yeah.
Well, most sands, excuse me, most sands need, there's the Portland that's in most polymeric sands is a 28-day curing period. So it's cured, like 24 hours later, it's 92, 95% cured. You can drive on it. If it's a driveway, you can use it. But the curing process goes on for 28 days. So that's 100% cure. If you were to put an acid-based cleaner on that surface within that 28-day period of time, you can affect the curing of it and maybe even break it down to affect it. So you're looking at a minimum 1 month before you can put a cleaner on the surface and seal it. So
Yeah, I think over the past few years, not only us selling this retail and to contractors, I think everybody's a little bit confused on the process, the sanding process, the cleaning and sealing process. So it's nice to get it out on the table, because I know, just a year ago, and not saying your product, but everybody was saying, okay, you can sand, you can clean and seal the day after or 2 days after. And, there's such a misconception on what you can and what you can't do. I just want to get it clear to all our contractors locally and, across the nation, and what is the proper process. So you're sanding.
I'm sticking to that 30-day. I mean,
Me too.
Because I don't know every product on the market, but most of the competitors, I know those products, they pretty much all have Portland. Portland is what cures, what catalyzes everything and hardens everything up. So I don't know of anybody that's not using Portland.
Yep.
And like I say, that is a 28-day cure
So-
period. So you're looking at a minimum
30 days.
1 month.
Yeah.
And then after that, if you're addressing different stains, if there's a little bit of efflorescence, which is normal, then you have specific cleaners to clean up efflorescence. If you have organic stains, if you got rust stains or grease stains, whatever, most manufacturers, we make a specific cleaner for each particular stain. So if it's soon after install, not likely to be that many stains on the surface. If it's something that's been there 4 or 5 years and, it's a backyard and there's a grill or stuff like that, then you're probably addressing more, more stains, more grease stains, food stains, organic stains, that type of thing. So
Yeah, I know a lot of guys put a cleaning into their contract. They want to get paid. So what they're saying is they're doing the project, they're
Right.
sanding it,
Yep.
and cleaning it the next couple of days so they can get paid. So really, at that point, it's hard to put in your contract, or at least, it could be a separate entity, where they're saying we'll be back in 30 days to clean this,
Yep.
and then we can at least do that separately. So I think, the whole misconception is you cannot clean these patios for 30 days after you poly sand it. Plain and simple.
It's our recommendation. Yeah.
Great.
The thing that's happening is sometimes you can get away with it. With chemicals, there's a guideline. If you don't follow the guidelines, sometimes you might, it's like sand, there's a 45 degree over for 24-hour period of activating joint sand. Some people are doing it, just above freezing, and they say, I don't have any problems, and then next year it's still solid, but maybe in 2 or 3 years from now, you're going to see it start to disintegrate, break down and all that. So as much as possible, I'm saying follow the guidelines. If you don't want to go back and address an issue and no contractor wants to do that, do the install properly. If you have to come back in a month's time, I know you'd like to get everything done and get your check and get out of there. But to do this properly, and there's a recurring business in the clean and seal business.
That's what I was just going to say.
Is that you do it properly the first time, but then you have a callback in 3 years' time to go back, clean that surface and reseal it, and
That's the biggest thing is when you're going to seal this product, but now you're creating a something you got to do every other year. I mean, how long does the sealer usually last on these pavers?
I mean,
you're creating a maintenance issue then. That's
you have
gonna
a
to be-
maintenance-free product, and now
Well,
it becomes a maintenance.
I mean, in a residential application, you're looking at about 3 years with a quality product. I put ourselves in that category, if I may. I think, our products aren't the cheapest product in the market, but they're well manufactured. We put, the right ingredients in it, so they're...
You've tested it. You've done everything.
It's tested.
Yeah.
I mean, we've been making it for 35 years. So I mean, we don't have very many complaints about the product. But in a residential application, full southern exposure in a patio or something like that, you're looking at about every 3 years.
Every 3 years.
But you're looking at all the products, all the projects, right? A lot of outdoor kitchens.
Yeah.
For me, doing an outdoor kitchen, whether it be a wet look sealer or just a natural look sealer.
Yep.
For me, I'm going to protect my patio, at least in that area,
Yep.
with a natural look sealer, especially under the grill, around the grill, spilling, whatever it may be, wine,
Yep.
grease,
Yep.
or whatever. For me, you have to seal an outdoor living space when there's grill areas, cooking, and really partying or whatever.
Yep.
So it's very important
I
to
can
seal.
remember last summer, one of my grandchildren, Elizabeth, 5 years old, gets a hamburger, mustard, cheese, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Walks away, drops the plate. The burger flips over on the concrete surface. It's 85 degrees out. The grease penetrates down right down. You can pick it up right away, but that grease stain is going to penetrate down into that hot concrete surface. And that, at the end of the day, I mean, there is going to be that stain there. So you have to dress that, with a cleaner that will suck it up out of the surface, if you will, and then clean it. If that had been a sealed surface, then she's still going to drop her hot burger on the surface, but it's going to sit up on top of that sealed surface.
Going to beat up, basically.
It's going to beat up on top. The grease, it won't penetrate down into it because there's protection on that surface. So at the end of the day, dad or mom or whoever takes the hose out, you clean this off, and it's a much, much easier cleanup because that whole surface has been cleaned.
Yeah, I think as an industry, we might mislead people with the whole idea that these products are maintenance free. There's nothing in the world, especially that you put outside, that's maintenance free. It's very low maintenance, but there should be a maintenance schedule, and contractors should let their homeowners and their customers know that. We need to check the sands to see if they've been lost after a harsh winter. We need to see the stains, and there's products that, we sell to clean stains. Every year, there should be some kind of light maintenance done on your patio. What I see is a lot of times I'll go to a project, they had it put in 5-6 years ago, and they haven't touched it. They just remove their patio furniture for the year. They cover up their grill, and then they come out, and, over time, they might get some moss, but it continues to build, and by the time they address it, it's so bad,
Too bad,
and there's some contractors that are offering, and it might be a good thing for a contractor who might not be doing this to get into some kind of maintenance program with their existing customers that, hey, if I come back every year, light pressure wash, touch up sand, whatever, you're on this kind of fee schedule, and then their patio is going to last, it's going to look great every year. If you wait 5 or 6 years and don't clean your bathtub, I mean, you know what it's going to look like, right, boys?
Yeah,
it's like being inside and not sweeping.
Yeah,
they're
right?
leaving leaves on their patio all winter long from the fall. There's leaf stains everywhere.
I mean, it happens, but it's just light maintenance instead
I think of it like weeds. You got a beautiful landscape bed. Why not spend a minute a day picking 1 or 2 weeds? Instead, you wait 2 years, and then it's so overgrown you don't even want to touch it.
Yep.
It's the same concept. Stay on top of it. Make the maintenance easy instead of...
There's dirt in the atmosphere. I mean, if you wash your vehicle and leave it in the driveway for 5 days a week or something like that, run your finger down the windshield, there's that dirt's accumulated on that clean
Exactly.
Vehicle that was cleaned a couple of days ago. So that accumulates over time on that surface, which is affecting maybe the blends and the colors in that surface. And that has to be cleaned, like it or not. Even if there's no additional stains, grease stains, organic or anything else, I mean, that over time will fade. The sun breaks down the UV. I mean,
Climate. I mean, we live in a tough climate here.
yeah. Especially,
Yeah. Every three-
especially in New York. I mean, it's a harsh climate, you know, in the winter and the weather, the cold weather and everything like that, ice. So yes, there is maintenance involved for sure.
Absolutely.
Well, that's one of the reasons why we've introduced the new True Color in our pavers. So what we're doing with that is it's a treatment in line. So we manufacture these pavers, and when they go just before they go into the curing to the kiln to get cured out, they spray on a treatment on them. So this is one. The thing is everyone likes these new bright colors. So it's enhancing the color of the paver, but also the benefit long term to the consumer is that it's protecting it against the UVs. That treatment is in there, like Jim had alluded to, is that it's putting that coating or sealer on there to help for acid rain, the UVs, staining. You drop the cheeseburger or the glass of wine on there, it's not soaking into the pores of the pavers. It's easier to clean up. Now, is there still maintenance for cleaning? Absolutely. But it's giving you that added benefit. And, that's one of the reasons that why, Oldcastle and Belgard have invested in these types of technologies to, help provide longer lasting and vibrant products.
My question.
Yeah, I mean, I know over the last year we redid our displays here at Sensenig's Landscape Supply in Geneva and Rochester. Yep. We kind of let our retail customers kind of have at it on our display.
Right.
And we noticed kind of people dwindling over towards the new product over at Belgard. So I would like to say thank you for, actually taking up a lot of that space with a beautiful product. And I see you guys going forward, just getting better and better.
You guys came out with some beautiful new colors, the Amaretta, the Bella. I mean, they are, like Joe said, so vibrant, and I think it's starting to steer people towards that section of the patio.
So in this market, it was kind of just like, there was nothing to promote. It was just this is what's available here. But the product does speak for itself when you see the difference. Like if you were to take those same pavers without that treatment on there and look at them, I mean, it makes them much more vibrant. But I think the color, not only does the color, pop on it, it's those other types of protectants that it's giving you, and as it, like anything else, you can take an older patio that you have and put a sealer on it, a matte finish, like something that Techniseal would be offering, and you're going to get the same kind of protection on there. You can rejuvenate your existing patio too. So for contractors, there's a ton of opportunity to go out and make money, not only installing but with a lot of this restoration work.
I have a question in regards to the True Color. So you said it is basically a sealer that's instilled into the product.
Yeah, so we call it like a treatment.
Yeah, I mean, is this going to be like a traditional sealer? I know we mentioned maintenance. Is this sealer going to eventually wear off and create issue where you need to reseal this product?
Yeah,
I know it looks awesome right now. What is it going to look like 4, 5, 6 years down the road?
So we have testing with at least the last 6 years of it in service in itself. They have some advanced, I know Techniseal and some of our other partners have weathering things where they've done it out over a few years. So yeah, after around the 6-year mark, you're probably going to want to take a look at resealing it. And with our partners at Techniseal, they're developing, some reseal applications on there. You're not going to notice it as much because it is a matte finish. So it's not going to break down where you're going to see peeling or things like that with a sealer. And it's penetrated down in because the pavers aren't cured yet, right? So they're coming out. So that treatment's going really deep down into the pavers.
It's getting really penetrated into that block.
Because it's sucking it all up. Yeah, but like anything else, with having that technology and then having Techniseal as part of our company and with their R&D department, if you ever get an opportunity to go there, their R&D department is almost as big as their warehousing, and they test everything there. And one of the things that maybe Jim had touched on, or maybe he didn't, is that they develop products specifically for our industry. They're testing pavers, all manufacturers, all types, all the time, so that these sealers are compatible. If you go to one of your box stores, or you go and just grab a sealer off the shelf that's meant for like concrete, Can it work with a paver? Yeah. Can it do, poured concrete? Maybe. But, these products are professional, that have been tested, that have been designed specifically for paving stones, what we do every day.
Yeah, I think, the concrete industry, not only do you have your own, competition, the concrete industry, the paver industry has stamped concrete to go against. Yep. And really, there hasn't been anything in stamped concrete that's really made it better. No. You know what I mean? No. But it's nice to look at the concrete paver industry with Belgard, your competition, whatever. Yep. They're really improving the concrete pavers for the end user. And that's all we really care about too, though. Everything on our display here, we really want to, focus on, we want to believe in. And I think you guys came out with a really good product this year that we believe in. And I think, down the road with what you have in your partnership with Techniseal is going to make it easier for the end users, the contractors to believe in it too.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, anytime we get this as salesmen here, we always get the question, should we go concrete, poured concrete, or should we go pavers? And I think what is so nice about pavers is you guys are doing the research. You're trying to better your products year in and year out to make it so these customers, they do steer towards going with pavers instead of concrete.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, each one is going to obviously have their issues, but...
Well, you're talking about two different systems, right? Concrete bridges the subgrade. So you have a hardened surface there. It doesn't move with freeze thaw. No. And we're probably in the worst area. Like, you go up north, it freezes, it stays frozen all winter long. You go down south, they don't deal with freeze thaw cycles. But where we are in upstate New York, I mean, you have freeze thaw cycles. You could go through two or three a day, though.
It's crazy,
right? It's 19 degrees, and then all of a sudden it's 35 in the afternoon. There's a freeze thaw cycle. You're frozen, and then now you're not frozen. So the nice thing about paving stones is they're made in a controlled environment. So they're really high strength. You can't get that strength out of ready mixed concrete, guys. Right? So, and two, they're low absorption. So because we make them mechanically and they're controlled in the environment that they're going to be made in constantly. Concrete, you just pour it outside and you hope that the weather and the guys that are finishing it provide you with a good surface. That, and, with these things moving with freeze thaw, if you do get some heaved areas, like we've seen it before where you get a little frost in that base, you can pick it up, fix it, reinstate it, and you never know you were there. You patch some concrete, and it sticks out like a sore thumb.
Oh, yeah. We had a customer here that was hemming and hawing about if he should use stamped concrete or pavers. He ended up going with stamped concrete. He ended up using some Belgard fireplaces, and, he's just weighing the two options. He wanted it to be clean. He wasn't too sure about the polymeric sand and weeds and stuff, and we tried to steer him towards pavers.
Yep.
Within the first 2 weeks, that stamped concrete cracked from the pool to the house. He was sick to his stomach. I mean, this job was $250,000. Yeah. And my example is, we could sell pavers all day, you know what I mean? But it's nice to have these true examples. This isn't the first time it happened. No. But we do get that question all the time. Women, the end user, they want something really clean, you know what I mean? And I think right now we're providing products for them that really should be the deciding factor. I mean, stamped concrete really shouldn't be our competition, but it is. Yeah. But we steer these customers to pavers because not only is it an oxymoron, you know what I mean, but it's the best system out there. It really is.
That story makes me completely sick. I mean, you think that guy just spent, $250,000 to get this whole pool, outdoor patio, and he's got a huge crack.
Not only did he crack there, it cracked in his walkway, too.
Well, there's so many variables, too. I mean, you're just not going to go blame the concrete or the contractor, right? But, you're pouring something 5-6 inches thick over, 2,500, 3,000 square feet. And then you have to figure out how you're going to cut this thing. So because it's going to have to...
You're basically guessing which way the earth is going to move.
Right, because it's bridging over that subgrade. Now, anytime that subgrade's moving, that concrete's going to have to either float somewhere. And that's why, you put those control joints and things like that in there. But it's not a science. I mean, it is, but you're still... There's so many variables. It's just, with paving stones, you're relying on us as manufacturers, all of us, to manufacture it to a certain specification in the field, and then the contractor's ready to go with that wear surface. And then if you build a good base underneath it, it's just going to move with the freeze thaws and then come back. So.
And talking about variables, again, getting back to sealers and cleaners, one of the variables are whether it be a retail customer coming in here that wants the nice wet look on their pavers or just a contractor that wants to do sealing. The variables is a little bit of fear and a trust factor in how's my job. I just did this beautiful job, waited 30 days. They want it sealed. What happens if I mess this system up? You know what I mean? That's the fear of it all. And it's for us, especially with retail, and we do say, listen, go on YouTube, follow the instructions. We'll lead you in the best way we can as well. But with contractors, it might be a humid day where you're trapping that humidity and, inside that sealer where it leads to a little bit of fogginess or haziness. There's so many variables to it. Jim, what can you say to just kind of ease that with people? Do you say until you're a professional at it, or do you, I don't know, or do you just hire a professional that is just a sealer and cleaner?
I want to put my input real quick. Yep. I think the biggest thing is contractors taking shortcuts because they want to get in and out. These guys, if they're sealing, there's too much on the line for them to be taking shortcuts when they can. You
cannot take a shortcut.
No shortcuts is the key word there.
I always like to, if I'm able to, it can't always happen that way, but when there's a contractor that shows interest in sealing a surface, usually it's because the homeowners are asking about it because they're seeing it in the magazines and stuff like that. We're advertising and there's all kinds of media and stuff like that. People know that it's important to maintain, clean and seal this investment that they've just made. So what I try and do, if there's a new contractor saying, you know what, I'm getting a lot of people asking me about it. I'm going to, a lot of them, are kind of backed into it. They have no choice because, they don't want to refer it to another contractor that is doing it. So what I like to do is sometimes just go with them and do it. I'm not going to do a 10,000 square foot parking lot with him, but if he's got a small patio, I like to go with him and just show him how simple it is. But you're right, Chris, you have to follow the instructions. If you try and jump ahead and seal over it when it's wet, there's certain guidelines, and you just have to plan your job so that you can clean one day and maybe do another job nearby. You do 3 or 4 jobs in the same area one day, let that dry completely, and then come back and seal it. But it's so simple. It's not.
I think where a lot of the guys mess up is the prep.
Yeah,
they
cleaning.
Think they can just throw a pressure washer on it and then just throw some sealer over the top of it. When that's not the case.
Washer
Leo, you hit it on the head.
You have to clean the stains first. Yeah. Then you have to clean the entire thing because you don't want just where the stains were to pop on that. Then you have to clean the entire surface and you have to open that up. Jim will explain that.
There's specific cleaners for every type of stain. So we got dirt and grease cleaners. We got rust removers. You might get rust stains from eaves troughs or metal furniture, stuff like that. There's organic stain cleaners. So if you go to a surface that's been there for a couple of years, it's been installed, you have to address all those stains first. So that you go around with your different stain cleaners, clean each one of those stains up. And like Leo says, you're going to end up with clean spots, so all over the surface.
Yeah.
And then after that, you do with a product we call paver prep that just cleans the whole surface and makes it uniform.
Like a primer, right? It's like opening up that drywall, putting a primer on so that it sucks up the rest of that sealer that's coming in. If you just pressure wash it, you're really not doing it. You're pushing the dirt down in it.
Yeah, I think there's a misconception. We sell products, right? So people think that we're pushing products to sell more products. Listen. All we're trying to do is make sure they're doing the proper thing. Yeah. We say...
Make sure you're satisfied with the end result.
You're here to buy sealers. Well, did you clean it? Oh, yeah, I power washed it. Well, it really has to be cleaned with a efflorescence cleaner or, a Techniseal efflorescence cleaner. Well, I just put some soap and power washed it. No. That's not good enough. I'm not just trying to sell you product. No. It's the proper way.
It's almost like I want to scare them so they know, I need to do this right, otherwise I'm going to mess up my patio.
Yep. Sealer's not cheap. If you're doing 1,000 square feet, you've got...
It's a 5-gallon bucket.
5-gallon pails are not cheap.
Well, plus the rollers, it adds up quick.
Products. Why would you not follow the instructions, do it properly, and you'll be so pleased with the end result. I mean, it's
to your point too, Chris. There's you said how guys are afraid, or how do we walk guys through there. There's guys that just do this, and we all know who they are. There's contractors that just do this every day, and they don't have these issues.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and I'm not here, like, I'm always learning something every day too, but I think the one is don't take the shortcuts and lean on a guy like Jim or myself to help you out to get started, and then follow your stuff in and out. Right?
And it's pretty simple, right? You poly sand the patio. You wait 30 days. If you want to seal it, you have to clean it with an efflorescence cleaner or some type of cleaner from Techniseal.
Cleaner is not just for cleaning, but it kind of etches the surface a little bit. It does a little bit of damage, if you like, to the surface. It opens the pores of the concrete up, but that's in order to allow the sealer to penetrate into that surface.
Right?
So you don't want your sealer just sitting on top of the surface. You want it to actually penetrate into the surface, and that's where it's going to last longer, and it'll be at least a 3-year application, or you won't have to redo it before a 3-year period of time.
Well, don't overseal either, right? We've gone. Jim and I went to a job where they sealed it every year with wet look, big thick thing, and
It's like a skating rink.
Yeah, but so one thing is it's nice to stay on the maintenance, but don't overdo it either, right, Jim?
No.
I watch a couple guys on Instagram, and they seal all of their patios, and they do a good job. I mean, it's kind of a two-man process.
Yeah.
You got one guy that's spraying,
Yep.
and then they kind of go, I don't know, east to west, north, whatever. You got one guy spraying, and then a guy back rolling it as he's going. And then they have a process to every job they seal.
Yep.
And then every job turns out perfect, turns out mint, exactly that the end user wants. But you know what? They're cleaning it. It's a process, and they're doing a great job at it.
It's not nuclear surgery.
No, it's not. It's just
I had a guy I think it was last year, and one of these contractors, I say, hey, give me a call. Let me, when you got one to do, I'll come and do it with you. You'll see how easy it is. And in this case, it was a new install, so we were like maybe a month or 6 weeks after the install. And the homeowner, again, had talked to him. So should I be sealing this and all that? So finally he realized, he says, you know what? I got to learn about this because a lot of people are asking me about it, and I look stupid when I don't have the answers, So I said, great. I said, let's do it. I said, it was 500 square feet, I think. This was probably the easiest clean and seal job there was, because it was just a small driveway right on the street. So there was water there right nearby, and there was a drain on the street, that it would drain out to. So I said, okay, I'll meet you there, tomorrow morning or whatever. We went, we cleaned that surface. Wasn't a lot of specific stain, so I think we cleaned that probably in about 20 minutes. So we got an applicator where we put the cleaner across the surface, brushed it in a little bit, let it agitate, rinsed the whole thing off. I said, that's it, we're done for today. I said, we're gonna let it dry for 24 hours. I said, tomorrow we'll come back and we'll seal it. It's fine, I'll go do some work, let me know. I went by the next morning. It was still a little bit moist. You could tell the joints were a little bit wet, so I let the sun dry it out a little more. Then I gave him a call. I said, okay, get back to the job. I said, we'll finish it up. We'll seal it. Put the sealer in a pump sprayer. We just, kind of protected there were some steps and stuff like that. So I went out and sprayed it all on. He back rolled it down. Another 20 minutes, we were done. And he says, is that it? I said, that's it.
Do you think that's key is rolling? Can guys just spray it, or
No.
you must roll it too?
Yeah, because paver surfaces, I mean, you have little indentations and stuff like that, so you don't want what they call pooling in that surface. So as you spray it down, you try and be as consistent as possible spraying it on the surface, but that rolling, and you're not going back and forth, you're just kind of dragging your roller across it just to even it out a bit.
What about if guys don't have sprayers? Can they just get a roller pan and a roller and do it that way too?
Absolutely, yep.
You still want to back roll that though, right, Jim? I mean, once you roll it on.
As Chris is saying, I mean, if it's like paint, so if you're rolling it on that surface, in that sense, that roller, if you're using a good quality roller, that will absorb a lot of the material and it'll spread it out evenly on the surface.
Yeah, let's talk about the roller, huh? I mean, we talk about the right products for the right job. Can we get a nappy roller from the box store and just throw that on there, or should we be using a specific roller?
Should it be a
can,
foam
I mean,
roller?
Well, we sell the Techniseal rollers here. So,
Yeah, so
we
we
have
have
a
the-
solvent-based and a water-based roller. So.
Yeah, there's slit foam rollers, more expensive, but I mean, it's not more expensive really, because one of these rollers will probably yield about 1,000 feet of application, whereas you can go to Home Depot and buy a roller for $1 or $2.
What are you going to save? A buck or two?
Well, you're going to use 6 or 7 of them in the same application.
It's going to last
not,
10 minutes.
Yeah.
It's not going to absorb as well. It's not going to be an even application. So these things, I mean, people say, "What 10?" I'm not sure if it's $10
I
or
was gonna
whatever.
say.
Somewhere around
But
there.
we do. We get
Whatever the
$10
price
for a
is.
roll, and they're like, "Whew."
Yeah.
I'm like, well,
I'll go to
listen,
Home Depot.
if you're saying woof right now, you probably don't want to be sealing that patio, because if $9 is going to make or break your job, then you might not be wanting to seal this patio.
I mean, sometimes I try and put myself in their place, and I say, "Geez, I've seen that at Home Depot, for $1.39 or whatever it is, So, but I mean, there is a difference, and your application, your install is going to go so much easier with the proper tools.
Yeah,
That's
and
like
we've
anything.
never had a complaint on those rollers, and we sell a lot of those rollers, so they do work. The price is worth it.
Yep.
Don't cheap out, like we said. Do not cheap out on sealing and cleaning.
Yep.
Use the correct tools. You're not going to use a flat shovel to dig
It's
into
not
the ground.
something that
gonna
you're
use a
doing.
pointed
I mean, you're
shovel,
doing
right?
this.
Yeah, right.
You're doing this once every 3 years.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's not like you're doing this weekly.
Well, I think the way it puts down the sealer, and the way, like, it's an even, it lasts longer. You're not changing it out. You get those. It just provides a better surface, the way it lays all of that sealer down. You ever see some of those poor rollers? I've gone to jobs afterwards where there's lap marks where they push down, and it creates a line down when they're back rolling because of using poor rollers. So
And they'll shred.
yeah, they shred up to you. So
What about moss? Because that's usually a big concern. I know Joe was talking about it earlier with our retail customers. Will sealing help kind of keep away moss in the future? I mean, moss is always going to...
Yeah, but people like moss. I mean,
Some
there's people
do,
that...
and some people don't.
Can you
That's
buy
just-
moss? Because
That's the
people come in
exciting
here and
factor.
want moss. 'Cause they just want to grow moss. Some people, like in the historic districts, they want moss. Can you buy it? Can we sell moss?
I'll sell you some. I got more moss than you can handle. Well, I think one of the things about it, in all seriousness, is it's going to be depending on what way you're facing, how much shade you have, how much water. So if there's a bad pitch on a paver, I mean, people don't want to pitch concrete pavers too much because they say, "Oh, it's uncomfortable to stand on. My table rocks, whatever." But we need to get water off of these systems, guys.
Yeah.
Like, water sits on there. You're in the shade. You have sand, which is coarse. It's a perfect place. If I was a piece of moss, I want to live there.
That's funny. Hey, I do have a question though. The Techniseal, the next gel, is it permeable? The biggest question is, there's some competition out there that's a permeable, compound. Is Techniseal a permeable?
No.
It's not.
Well, there's 2% permeability depending on the setup.
Which is nothing,
But
So you're
basically.
most
depending on the pitch.
Most polymeric sands are 6, depending on quality, are 7% permeability. So 7% moisture on a standing area will make its way through that surface. With NextGel, because we have a lab and we're able to test it, like on this big aquarium where we did a paver surface, put NextGel in there and put standing water on top of it, and that's how, with a void underneath, and that's how they're able to measure how much permeability there is in a sand. So yes, it's only 2%. So your moisture on your surface is going to come off with
It's shedding, basically, instead of penetrating.
yeah.
Because you get a lot of contractors.
You don't want moisture coming down through there and collecting
Unless it's
underneath.
a permeable application.
Then if it's permeable, you're not going to have that.
Yeah,
sand.
you won't be using that.
Well, you have now in the industry like hybrid bases now, so a lot of guys are pushing towards wash stone or an open grade base system.
Yep.
So does this even play a factor into that if you're using Techniseal as your poly sand?
Well, if you're using Techniseal, I mean, in an open graded surface, it'll penetrate down
2%.
into that. But once it's hardened up and cured, then it's not moving. I mean,
Right.
it cures at 1,100, 1,200 psi. So there is no more. It's set up in the joint, and not eroding and going down into that open graded base.
Yeah, so 98% of our guys, I would say 97% are using crusher run and concrete sand, and this is perfect for that application.
Yep.
Perfect.
So yeah, with the open base systems now, the ICPI still has some questions on that.
Yeah.
We have some articles that their head engineer had written. If you're interested, we could send it over. And we're not saying that it's not
Correct.
not a correct way to use the bases. However, there are some questions on long-term durability using those things with the way edge restraints are, the way sands are with joining sands, and with the movement with choking of the aggregates and things like that. So,
I mean, we've been told too that permeable application has been around for thousands of years. It comes from the ancient times that they've been using that.
The Appian way in Rome.
well,
Yeah.
that's a traditional ICP, or interlocking concrete pavement. The permeable is a little different. That's more of almost like a trench design, where you're pulling the water through the joints into an area where you can do a couple things. You can store that water there, and then you can release it through the base slowly after your cooling rainwater. So it's more of a rainwater, stormwater application with the permeable. What a lot of contractors have done is they've taken trying to take both systems and pull them together. Make the surface impervious, right, so that the water's not draining through. However, they're using the permeable base because they feel like they have less fines, less movement, easier for compaction. So there's still some testings. That's kind of in its infancy. So buyer beware, contractor, when you're doing something like that. ICPI is still recommending keeping a permeable application with permeable, and an ICP or just a regular interlocking with that for now.
Would you sweep in like an 1/8" chip in those applications? And if so, does Techniseal have an 1/8" chip bag or something for permeable application?
No,
So-
we don't. We make the sealers that stabilize that number 8, number 9 stone, or
Yep.
whatever it is. So a sealed surface will have two functions. It'll seal the paver surface, and it will seep down into that chipstone joint and stabilize that. So if it happened to be like a parking lot or something like that where you didn't want all that material coming out, that'll be stabilized. So the contact points of each little stone or piece in there are but it remains permeable.
Okay.
So it's available locally.
Yep.
You guys could even stock it here, but the pits sell it. It's called 1A's here, washed.
Yep.
There's two different. There's a dirty kind and a washed, but 1A's fits that number 8 stone that goes in between those joints. So you guys got bins out there. It might be something that you guys consider.
What would guys be using the dirty 1A's for?
Sometimes they get into some of that oil overlays systems, on asphalt, road work, things like that. You just want to be specific anytime you go to a pit and you ask for the crusher run. That's so vague, right? I mean, what size is the stone? How much? Like
5/8.
Like
There's so many different names for stones.
Yeah, you go to Pennsylvania, it's like 411, and you go. It's called different things everywhere you go. So you want to be more specific with what you're ordering as a contractor, so you know what products you're using too, right?
We brought up concrete sand for your leveling factor. Yep. We still get a lot of guys coming in here. We don't carry it, but we still get a lot of guys using stone dust.
Yep.
What would you do, buyer beware, like you said, for anybody that's using stone dust right now?
Well, one of the things that, and I think all the manufacturers of concrete paving stones is that voids our warranty, right? So, you don't want, like you said, buyer beware, but we've gone to what ICPI recommends for a reason. Stone dust is proven to hold water. It has a lot of fines in it. And talking about the poly sands, back to the maintenance thing, is what do we want to do to get it to dry out once we've activated it? We want that water to be gone, right?
Yeah.
Otherwise, that joint's never going to set up.
I think the biggest
Stone dust
thing
collects moisture.
Yeah, the biggest thing is you got people that have been in the industry for so long that started using stone dust, and they'll go back to those jobs and they're still in perfect condition. And they say, why do we need to change something that's not broken? ICPI recommends you don't because it is holding moisture. I mean, it's just
So you liken it to this, right? You go into the casino and you play craps. You don't roll 7 for about 10, 15 rolls, but eventually you're going to roll one, right?
Yep.
So do you start doing with what the industry talks about, or do you wait for that 7 and just go pull up the patio on your own dime?
Yep.
It's business decisions. There's 2 R's. There's doing the right thing and taking risks. We don't want to take any risks, right? So why 1 out of 7 goes bad? What camera am I on? Am I on this camera? So if anybody right now is using Stone Dust, he just said it. It voids any warranty if you're using Stone Dust. For any of these manufacturers, do not use Stone Dust. But it's true, though. We get guys in here that just will not change, and they want to come here. Why are the pavers holding water? Well, what did you use? I'm using Stone Dust. Well, I'm sorry. I mean, I'd like to help you, but the reason why is probably because you're using Stone Dust. That's plain and simple.
Yep.
So I like...
It's all we knew,
they're
though,
hearing
right?
it all the time.
Yeah.
You know, in every presentation, every manufacturer, I mean, we go to all the kickoffs and everything like that, and people are repeating it all the time. So it's not like the contractor's not hearing it, and he's, all he's hearing is that I can get Stone Dust cheaper than,
we do. We have great installers, and some of our best installers are still using Stone Dust. And I'm telling them, and it was even to this year. This has been for 3 years now, probably, or 4, maybe even more than that. I don't know. Yep. But I mean, for me, is you guys voiding the warranties? It's been 3 years, probably. I don't know.
So our warranty specifically states that it must be installed to ICPI specifications.
Yeah.
So ICPI specifications recommends an ASTM C33, which is a concrete sand or something to the effect that it doesn't have that amount of fines in the 200 sieve, which is your bottom pan, which holds all your water, which we're trying to eliminate.
Yep.
And it's funny is that, you talk about that, and then you look at these other guys going to open graded systems. They're trying to eliminate all the fines that hold the water.
Yeah.
So you have one fashion of guys who still are holding on to that flip phone. And then you got the guys who want to, do the iPhone 11s. I mean,
I'm a 6+ guy. I'm right in the middle.
Yeah,
man.
me too.
I'm not extreme one either. But I like, the partnership between Techniseal and Belgard. I think Belgard brings a lot to the table. And I know Belgard with your True Color and the marketing of True Color, I think it's just going to be positive going forward. But you guys came out with a new product, too, that really, it's very simplified, is lighting.
Yeah.
And TrueScapes.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about what you made the decision? Did you guys buy another company, or what happened with that, or why do you see it in your catalogs now?
No, so that's a great question, Joe. And one of the things that going back to the having so many different things with outdoor living is, kind of like our whole name is gone from Belgard Hardscapes to Belgard, and now we're kind of like paves the way, kind of trying to be able to offer simple solutions to contractors. And our lighting line was developed by some contractors. They're partners of ours. And it's very simple. It's whatever you could use to come in. There's not a big catalog. It's all 2800 Kelvin, so it's a soft light. It's not that bright light. All of the colors are the same. If you buy a fixture or you buy whatever you need, it'll come with the light in the box. It comes with the stake in the box. It comes with the wire nuts in the box. So really all you need to do is buy wire and a transformer. So there's not a lot of options. There's some contemporary, there's 2 colors, there's some classic looks. So it fits in our Belgard catalog. And for a contractor that wants to add on and sell a little bit of lighting with their install, it doesn't give them the feeling that there's a million options. Okay, you go to a homeowner and ask them to pick something out. They're looking in a catalog and there's 600 fixtures. And now you got to chase these down. The time is money for these guys.
And
right?
I think the biggest thing is it's a effective price, too, compared to some of your competitors.
Yeah. So what we want to do is we want to be able to offer, something simple for a contractor. He can do add-on sales. I mean, and just simply grab a few things, have someone pick it out, and then light that up. I mean, a pathway, a couple of path lights.
Under cap lights are huge.
There's systems out there. If you want it to turn red, white, and blue for the 4th of July, there's companies, and you guys support those. You have products for contractors that do that. We're not in that game, and we're not looking to, pretend like we are. We're in the grab and go for contractors, but it's all quality stuff too, right? It's way better than buying stuff online. One of the nice things is, and contractors that buy online should beware, once again, we're all UL listed, so you get some of these imported products that aren't UL listed and they don't have the warranties. We stand behind it. If we get a bad one, Chris, you call me up and I'll bring you one the next day, right?
Yeah, I mean, what kind of warranty do they come with?
Yeah, so they do the 5-year on the socket and then the lifetime on the housing,
Yeah.
and then the under the caps is the 5-year on that as well. So and you're talking LED. So if they don't start up off of the box, they're probably not going to run, and if they're running, they're going to run a long time.
Yeah, we have some on the display. We leave them running 24/7.
We've had LED lights running for 24/7 for 5 years and not had one go out.
Right?
It's crazy how it's taken over the industry.
And
the LED,
And they're cheap to run.
And what a difference. If you got to cut back on your budget somewhere, make the patio just a little smaller because you don't need all that space, and put those
the
lights
lighting
in.
It adds a whole nother element to that patio.
Put that gas fire pit in. To do something like that. Don't think that you need 10,000 square feet worth of standing space.
Right.
Cut that down, make it more intimate, but get your features in there that you're gonna enjoy.
Well, I think most of the time we enjoy these patios are at night.
Yeah,
it's hard to do it in the dark.
Yeah, you got things that keep you warm too out there, right?
Extend
That life season.
I got some Belgard under the TrueScape under the cap lights at my house. And I got the pillar cap light, which
I
comes
love
in
the
two
pillar
different-
cap lights.
Yeah.
Two different styles, but
contemporary.
I pull into my house at night and I see all my lights on. There's nothing like it because you're able to utilize it at night also and still get just an awesome effect of being able to see those lights.
And those pillars on the entranceway, remember, they were all hardwired. You know what I mean? And they were kind of goofy looking. The new TrueScape pillar cap, the pillar top lights are amazing. I love it. And they're LED.
Well, yeah, they have a double pin in that comes with it, right? It's all set up. It has a template, and the cool thing for the contractors, it even comes with a masonry bit. So you just drop the template on there, you drill that out, you drop the anchors that has the matching tops on them, so you don't have to figure out how you're going to anchor it, and it's UL listed. So with the transformer, one of the TrueScape rep always tells the story that one time he was at a job and they were trying to figure out why the garage door opener wasn't working anywhere. But they bought these lights online and they retroed them. The contractor retroed them because he wanted it, and he put it in the system with the transformer. Well, the light was sending a signal back to the garage door opener.
The garage doors were open.
Well, yeah, and it wouldn't open, right? So, and they couldn't figure out, all of that was crossing. Well, it wasn't UL, rated. So whatever frequency some of these things were running on, it wasn't compatible. So, and then once again, like with the Techniseal, great support. TrueScapes has a guy, that we've been trained. We can get through most of the stuff locally as Belgard guys, and then they have guys, if we can't get there, that are right on hand. Quick phone call, diagnose stuff. They'll come out. It's pretty good.
We have the advantage here in Rochester, New York, and our other location in Geneva that you guys are local. So you're talking about support and service. We can get sand in a day's notice, a half a day's notice. We can get sealers in a day's, half a day's notice. We can get the lighting in a day, half a day's notice. All our Belgard products in stock, or if they're not, we still call them in stock because they're right down the road.
Yeah.
So it's just the advantage, and not every supplier has that advantage.
Yeah.
But we're glad that we're kind of in that situation.
Leo, I want to talk about, because Belgard is known for some of your main products, specifically Dublin.
Yeah.
This year, what are you guys doing with Dublin? Are you guys switching it up a little bit?
Yeah, so we're still going to have the Dublin 3-piece. It's going to be made out of our Easton, PA plant. So one of the advantages of that is it's going to be able to be made on a big board machine. We're going to be able to we've rolled our colors all in. One of the biggest complaints with Belgard over the years is that we started off in '94 in the in this industry down here in Rochester. We brought a lot of things in from Canada. Well, we used their names, and they didn't have the names of the walls and the names of the pavers. They were all different, and they changed all the time. So we're trying to find some consistency in our products going forward. So, we're going to make those products out of the Easton plant. We're going to offer them in the Bella, the Flash Brown, and the Sable. So you're still going to have a gray tones. You're going to have that Bella that's going to be close to that old fossil beige that you've been used to. I mean,
Dublin's never going to go out of style.
no,
You know what I mean? We sell a lot of natural stone here.
Yeah.
So a lot of guys mix natural stone, and they like to mix it with like an old Dublin cobble, 3-piece, or,
So we're going to have a 6669 tumbled that'll be available as well. So if you want to just run a pattern, right? If you
an
want,
eye
you could
pattern
do
or
an eye
something.
pattern. You could do a herringbone. You could do that. It's going to be tumbled. It's going to give you that rustic, weathered look. We've gone to like what we've called collections this year. So we have the different collections based on the different product lines, whether it's contemporary or porcelain or, textured. So we've integrated all of that kind of in our lineup on the way we want to move forward.
Is there any other kind of new cool products, design, style, pavers that you guys are going to be coming out with, walls, anything specific for 2020?
Yeah, so one of the neat things is Bel Air's been popular for many years with the way that the face is different than
Not split face.
Yeah, so you get this traditional split face look, right?
Yep.
So people don't, want what their neighbors have, or they want something different. So you have that smooth, but it has that natural texture to it, that
Yep.
Bel Air. So we've taken that face and we've put it on a structural unit. Now, Bel Air is only 9 inches deep. You can get it up to 6 feet with some geogrid and some, in-house engineering and stuff like that. But now we've taken that face and put it on a wall that's engineerable, up to 35, 40
Basically
feet.
like a pin system
It's
wall.
definitely. It's a
Yep.
pin system. It's a 1 square foot unit, 818,
I think
12
that's
inches
huge.
deep, just like the old Keystone or now, which is the Diamond Pro pin, right? You drop those pins in there, the geogrid, the interaction, but then you have that face on there. So that's going to be really
That's
hopping.
huge because as salesmen here, we get that constant comment that we don't want that split face, rough look to it. We want something smooth. And a lot of times they're using this wall as a retaining wall. So
Yeah.
it's going to go high and it's going to be retaining a lot. Yeah, like you said, geogrid and all that, you got to do that correctly. But
Yeah.
it just gives you peace of mind knowing that you will have a wall that will be more structurally sound with pins interlocking the wall and still giving you that smooth look.
Yeah, well,
Aesthetically too, it's good. I love that Bel Air wall. So I think for not even just any residential, a lot of those split faces we do on commercial work, you try to get the high end residential that wants a little bit different look. They're going to pay a little bit more, but I think it's going to fit that a lot better.
Well, we've always pushed the limits of garden walls have always looked cooler than the structural walls because they were always plain vanilla. They were always designed for these big commercial sites where cost was always the factor. But the cool looking products were always the garden walls. Well, some people now with all the prime building land gone where these houses are going in, they have slopes and loads and they need more structural walls, but they want more of that aesthetic pleasing look.
Yep.
So we've kind of taken, the structural aspect and put a pretty face on it, and now they get the best of both worlds.
Talking about pretty faces, the HGTV Dream Home, you guys put a pretty face on that house in the backyard. And I know you probably don't know too much about it, but it just goes to show, being partners with Sensinigs and being proud that I watch that show. I watch HGTV a lot, and just to say, sitting home is like, dude, that's Belgard. We carry that. You know what I mean? And that makeover, that pretty face you put on that house with Belgard and all the sponsorship kind of gives us some validity here carrying your product and see the direction you're
I
heading.
know I'm upset that I didn't win that house. Cause
Well, they haven't given it away yet.
Well, it's 4 years.
Well, the last one, what was it, in Montana?
Yeah, this
Yeah,
one's
it's
even-
in our catalog
this
this
one's
year
gorgeous.
too. So the years that we've been in is in our catalog. I think it's 4 years now that we've been a sponsor for them for their outdoor living stuff. So and our marketing team is heavily involved. We have our Belgard Design Studio, which is available to our contractors as well. And you can send in a picture of a job on a napkin. They'll draw up something 3D for you. They'll do fly-throughs. They'll give you quantities. So it's a nice tool for the contractors to be able to utilize. They use that with the dream home to kind of, build the vision and then kind of move from there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know the direction you guys are going. I know we're trying to get, I think it's Ben's doing a good job with Haley from Belgard trying to get, she was on that episode of HGTV, and we've been working hard, and I think we're going to set up a date to get her on the podcast, and that's going to be something special. So we're going to be doing 2 podcasts with Belgard, and we're looking forward to it.
Yeah, she'd be great for marketing and social media. They do a great job with the social media end of it. So even, you know, for these contractors, and she teaches a class usually at a couple of the trade shows for marketing and social media stuff. So it'd be great to get with her and learn more what Belgard's got cooking.
Yeah, and I think it's important for, you know, all our contractors listening right now and how important it is for social media. And we're doing a lot on podcasts with contractors to educate our local contractors how important it is for social media. And, you know, you guys as manufacturers, us as suppliers are kind of leading that way.
Yep.
And the direction is, and it works, you know, and the branding and the name and everything and how important it is. I think if our contractors can learn a little bit from Belgard, from Sensenig's, and some of these contractors that are in this podcast, to get out your drones, get out your Instagram, your phones, constantly work for it, and it's definitely going to pay off.
At the end of the day, it's a selling tactic. We talk to contractors every day that are on Instagram and on Facebook, and they get at least 2 to 3 jobs a year just from being on social media and posting their pictures every day, and just doing vlogs on what's going on in their life and what's going on at the job site. So it's definitely something important, I think, that contractors should utilize. I mean, it's a free platform that you can use. It's not like a website that you're going to have to plan or to pay for. Utilize these free platforms because they will pan out for you.
Well, your target market too is getting younger and younger, right? And this is where these kids live. You know, I have a 20-year-old and an 18-year-old at the house, and that's where they live. That's where they make their decisions. That's what motivates them and drives them. And if you're there in their face, in these platforms that they're using, it gives you an advantage to your competition, right? I mean, I had to learn them because it was part of what I saw the next generation doing. So it's where you're going to get your work.
And I think the end user right now are those young entrepreneurs that are making money early in life and spending a lot of money right now, that are doing their research before they even step in this place. Yeah. You know, they're looking at the contractors that they want to use, and then we do give referrals, but we're making sure that we're giving the referrals out to our guys that are doing the best work. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But they're already doing their research.
The consumers are more educated than they ever were, but they're still not going to be the professionals. So the contractors stay up on all the ins and outs of the industry, what's going on. You're still going to be the professional. So they're gonna lean on you, right? They're gonna ask you. Now they're gonna do their research and see base and see all these other things that go involved in our industry. The cleaning and sealings, they might, because we're all trying to get a little bit of their pocketbook with their stuff. But, as a contractor, you still want to make sure that, you're leading the way. But you have to remember, these people are a little bit more educated than years past.
Yeah, the portfolios are online right now. The Instagram, that's their portfolio. Sometimes these contractors are selling jobs before they're even showing up at the projects.
Yeah.
Because of their portfolio.
So speaking of portfolio, Belgard has a cool program coming up this year. It's called Hardscape Heroes. So we're going to ask contractors to send in photographs of finished projects, and we're going to give away like gas cards and product and Belgard bucks to go at a dealer.
Swag.
Yeah, swag, all kinds of stuff. So we're going to have a monthly winner every month. And it's easy as one page. You just upload some photos, you put your information in, and boom, and send it to you. If you don't want to do it, you send me the pictures, and I'll do it for you. And I can send you a link right over texting.
Wow.
So you can do that there. So we're going to do it all year. What it's going to do is it'll even, if you win, you'll even get a national photo shoot. So we'll send Chipper, our national guy from California, out when he's in this area, he'll stop by if you win and shoot that. And then you have all those pictures to use in your projects and in your selling and stuff like that. So it'll be a cool program, and we're trying to get more and more guys in there, and it'll give us better shots for the catalog, and it'll build a good relationship with these projects and portfolios out there.
Wow,
That's awesome.
They're making your job a lot easier. That corporate, man, and they're bringing it right down to you. Leo's just eating it up.
Yeah, just execute now, baby.
Yeah, that's all it is. That's all it is. Well, I just wanted to say thank you. I mean, I think this has been a great podcast.
I appreciate you guys taking the time to come and sit down with us today.
We could have talked for another hour, really.
Yeah,
Ben's over here
Couple of
yelling at
beers,
me,
I mean,
telling
we'll
me
stick
I
around.
his cameras are probably running out of.
he's giving us the
Yes.
cut sign.
I just want to thank you guys and the partnership. You know, that's what it's all about. And
We appreciate your.
Yeah, well, we
been a great-
appreciate your support.
We look forward to 2020. Make it a good one, huh?
Yeah, let's
Absolutely.
go.